What's up, guys? We're back. How you guys doing?
Yeah, I hope everyone's doing great. So let's get straight into it.
So, in this episode, I was thinking about covering a bit more of the psychology side, and also just because I've been doing a lot of sales and sales training at the moment, and also a bit more on the testosterone side. Like I've noticed that a lot of the higher end closers have increased testosterone when they get to settle more, because it's just I'm going to start from the very beginning. So pretty much in the sales industry, like as you guys are aware, you guys some it's a very lucrative industry, in better words, and some of the psychological sides of it is actually obviously persuasion and speaking flow and many other things, because it's just all building up to that one process of converting to point A to point B and letting the prospect follow along the journey that best suits them. Let's just say, for an example, if I was going to sell you a $5,000 training, I would, I like, you know how we had an episode with Stephen. So Steve products was going for about, I think it's going for about 5.5 at the moment. His would be basically, A, you need to meet the criteria that best suits you. B, I need to have a discovery call with you. And then C, I go from that discovery call all the way to the end part, which is the sale. And I've got to guide you along the journey that best suits you. If you're a more difficult customer, then we will not we will rather you not work with us, because it's going to cost us more time, more money, and honestly more effort just to keep you like satisfied or happy enough with the product. Whereas you can also flip that and just be like, nah, man, I'm not interested in having you as a prospect. Give me the reasons why, and flip the sale onto them. So that's one way how you could do it. Um, Another way is like, I was speaking to one of the guys who's like sells like a $20,000-$30,000 course, and he was like, one of the ways you can do it is by this is just a lot of free game right here. This also can work in the dating world, but obviously use sales tactics very cautiously. Just want to mention that. But yeah, the way how you can frame it is by wording them in such a way. Let's just say, for an example, what is your definition of an investment? And then I provide a definition, and you're like, okay, my definition is me investing money to expect to get a longer term and greater return than what I put in it. So then you go to that, and it's like, how would this investment help you out? And then you just basically slowly guide them along. And then you sort of, for some of the questions, you put them in a box. It's like the best offer since sliced bread, that sort of thing, because it's like the offer is way too good that you can't resist.
Interesting.
And that's just a bit of the psychology behind it.
Yeah, that's actually interesting.
What's the most interesting part that you find about it?
Well, you're talking about when you mentioned the whole process of converting from like client to like converting to like someone's interest to a sale. And then pretty much, yeah,
So
when you
it's more so the
mentioned,
whole sales process is more so what you find the most interesting.
yeah, like the whole art of persuasion that comes behind it. And it just takes a lot of practice. There's that. And then there's also like, I was thinking more in terms of like the product or service that you're selling. So for
Yeah.
example, like for to be as professional as you can and deliver like the best quality that you can when it comes to a service. For example, it could be like as simple as I don't know, a haircut, for instance, right? But
Yeah.
actually selling, or I would say like marketing that service would depend. It depends on each like field. It depends on like each industry and whatnot, right?
Generally, the psychology is mostly the same. You've just got to get a client with that burning desire before you can actually guide them along that track, because you've got to convert them you got to go from research mode to looking around into, let's literally blue ocean, orange ocean, red ocean. So it's like at the 80% who don't know they've got a problem, the 17% who has a problem, and the 2 to 3% who's got a burning problem they have to solve now. you can just convert them over that.
Exactly. Sometimes it's also like what you find sometimes in the industry is people try to make you feel like you have a problem.
Yeah, that's a move by a very skilled marketer who can normally do that, because a lot of general marketers struggle with creating that emotional pull.
Interesting. Yeah. But like, for example, during COVID, when people thought like, or even before that, like in 2012, people thought like the world was going to end, right? So
Yeah,
then you have like a lot of sales happening in like things like what? Hand sanitizer, gloves, like, you know, all these things to kind of help people or like give them, it's basically fear, right? Like they were putting fear inside of people,
yeah,
right? So like you said, the emotional part, sorry.
yeah. And that's the part that people have to be very cautious about and very wary when it comes to sales, because you can very easily be pulled by your emotions in one direction. But it's better off having a bit more of that logical standpoint.
Yeah, I see.
I completely agree with you. COVID was completely fear mongering. And it was like, as you're saying, it's like doomsday. It's the end of the world. Also, quick second, we got to be careful what we talk about on here. Just, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in general, like that was basically the idea. Then people, a lot of millionaires, like for example, Zoom went from like a couple million to like $1 billion company within like a month or something like that. It was insane. And then it's like you're playing with people's fear, emotion, and then that kind of like drives the masses to think, oh, I need this like right now, or I need to buy like something quickly. So
Do you reckon objectively there are a lot of benefits with that? Or do you reckon it was more of like a overall, given the span of the few years that it happened, there was more disadvantages than advantages,
like
which
how
they definitely did, because the amount of millionaires and billionaires created during COVID.
it's like,
Yeah.
are you going to let life like do things to you, or are you going to take control and are you going to act, right? Are you going to be the one actually producing instead of consuming, right? So pretty much that's how it goes, like at that time. So
With
yeah,
you also saying that, what end would you want to be on if we were to be thrown back in that circumstance? Would you want to be more on the producing side from what you understand now, or would you still want to be in more that consuming space?
well, like, I mean, I pretty much still didn't have a choice back then. Like I was pretty much still learning. So, but obviously if I were a lot older, more experienced, like right now, definitely more on the producing side.
Yeah.
Like clearly, even drop shipping was like something super big to during COVID. Drop shipping, because everyone was just shopping online, right? Like people were like, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. So you do like, and that was the time. And then like, it's crazy. Some companies got pretty much established. Like they've established themselves today because of that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it's also like an experience for learning too, honestly. Once you build that, like obviously it it gave everyone who didn't take those opportunities learned from what they could have done, right? And what they missed out. So then now they know what to do next.
Also, just also coming from what you said and what they've learned and how many industries grown, do you reckon that there's a possibility of it showing up again?
I think so because I mean billionaires are already talking about it, right? Like
Yeah.
like for example, Bill Gates was like one of the main guys predicting stuff like that to happen, but now it's like all over, like because yeah, because it's really the only thing now that can pretty much stop the world from.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like in the next 4 years, I don't think so because with what's happening, Donald Trump wants to like take over pretty much all of America. But yeah, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting. We can kind of slide to that topic, like with the tariffs. I don't know if
I haven't read too much about the tariffs. What's going on with that?
pretty much he's putting he's putting high tariffs on like Canada right now, and like all over, pretty much international. I think it's international. I'm not sure, but for Canadians, he's like putting up like 25% tariffs on like imports, exports, transportations, whatnot, on products like U.S. products, and then that's like creating like I think for small businesses they're gonna be really affected, or if you're like just like like
But yeah,
single,
it's a quarter of their profits that are gone.
yeah, exactly. If you have like good ties with Americans and like you probably have a seat in the government and all that, you would be fine. Like they probably wouldn't affect you, but if you're just like a kind of like a solo entrepreneur and like your business is like really dependent on like US ties and all that, like it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, but there's also another way how to solve that is by having a company where you are at the moment and then creating another like that number or ABN as well as in the US, because then that'd be another way you can get around it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you
it really
can't get
depends.
over the 25% in yes. But also that also goes on to the next topic, which is actually what probably a lot of our audience is paying a lot of attention to at the moment.
What's up?
So have you been paying attention to the stock market at all?
Currently, yeah, it's been booming right now. Like the
What, in
last,
Canada?
at least the field that I'm looking at right now in Thornton, it's been doing really well.
Because that would be resistance against the tariffs anyway. And it'd be more resistant against the hedging of the US dollar than putting us in a global recession.
Yeah, I don't know about that. You probably know more.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna quickly just jump over to this. But the US has put in, I believe, about another maybe I think the US put about another $1 billion in their economy. Worldwide we've put in about another 400 million, excluding the US,
And
which is also why the tariffs are also happening as well, because that's then that's going to lead for every other country to basically go down. Even the US, as you've probably noticed, the US dollar is going down.
interesting.
Yeah. And also given around every 9 to 10 years, we have a recession. If you have a look at the volatility index, it's around about May this year it's around about May, June is when the next recession is expected, because um, they're already talking about the next recession, as well as talking about let's just say the next attack that's going to happen.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, because you had a lot of millionaires and billionaires talking about the next
And
plan of
then,
attack to happen. Yeah. Yeah, and there's been a lot of guys in my circle who've been talking about it for years, because they're like, I'll just give it another 5 years and then it's going to happen again.
yeah,
Just because it's a mass regulation. And the only question is, how effectively will the recession happen, and how effectively will this next plan of attack happen if people argue against it or find other ways to try and make sure it doesn't happen. The recession is given, but the other stuff is starting to happen, but it's not as in the motion at the moment.
yeah.
If it,
Yeah. I think, you can see it as a recession, but I think, like, obviously, based on what we've spoken already on this episode, like, we know what happened during COVID, a lot of lessons learned, and there was actually a lot of opportunity, right, for people
yeah,
to grow. It's just the way you look at it. So it's like, if we know it's going to happen, like, I don't know, sometime this year, maybe in May, maybe in September, who knows, kind of try to position yourself to feed off of that. So
yeah,
pretty much like, if the recession is like, for example, if the US wants to put tariffs on like all over the world, start like, I don't know, start like a company that's gonna just avoid US products. Like we just sell products from like all over the world and just specifically like label yourself as like non-US only, right? Maybe it's gonna get a lot of supporters. Maybe a lot of people are going to, you know, actually like respected and stuff. It could even create hype, right, just in and of itself, because everyone's gonna think like, yeah, the US is trying to like break something again. Yeah, so that could be one thing. They could also, I don't know, encourage like people to explore products outside. Like Americans can actually start appreciating products like outside of their own country and everything. Or sorry, non-Americans, but yeah. The
But
point
then
is
how
like,
that impact China and other nations?
well, they're not gonna buy US products anymore, right? So they're gonna pretty much have to rely on their own like economy, their own product, like built in-house and everything. Like for example, you won't buy an iPhone anymore. You buy like a Huawei phone if you're in China, for example. But I don't know how successful you can be at that. Like honestly, I know there's a lot of people right now that can in Canada that just don't like. They're just like putting like bans and like boycotting US products because like that's it. They realize like, because of the tariffs and whatnot, they don't want to have like even like business with them.
That's very interesting to know that that's happening at the home front, that everyone's trying to boycott US products.
Yeah.
Because then that's going to massively drop the US economy if it happens for more nations as well.
For more nations, exactly.
And it's just continuing on to that butterfly effect, really. It's just from you guys starting, and then it's just going to be, let's just say, the next nation, like somewhere in Europe, and then just slowly go on from there.
Yeah, exactly. So like a nice project would be to have, or like a business, not just a project, but like a business would be able to just sell, even have an e-com, just buy non-US or non-American products. And then you can like start like a domain like that and just, you know, people who want to sell products like from all over the world could just list them there on that website. And then pretty much,
So you're thinking of sort of like an SD or another provider similar to that.
sorry, and what?
So you're thinking like an ST, like ETSY, I can't even pronounce it, but that's a website that sells those. It's sort of like a drop shipping website where you sell your products on there, you make a profit.
Yeah,
It's
the website just provides like kind of the service of like listing your product and all that. Yeah, it could be something like that, or it can even be like if you're gonna sell like local, for example, you can probably take care of more of that, right? So
yeah, definitely. Local would be so much easier than anywhere else.
yeah, but obviously like once you start scaling and all that, kind of consider like where you want to go next. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like that's all I gotta say. Man. We have like 20 minutes, but I'm good.
Yeah. Trying to think, is there anything else that's going on at the moment? Oh yeah. Also, just going back to what you said earlier, you know how you said you reckon e-com's going to boom? I reckon also the remote sales is going to boom again. Because sales is one of the cornerstones of business, and it's similar to like marketing services, which I reckon are also going to boom.
Very interesting. That's good.
It's just a bit of an analysis on what happened last time and what's expected to happen if the events were to happen again.
Yeah. And I can close this off. I think we covered a lot. That's good.